Let's compare the 16-35 f4 PZ with the 16-35 G Master with the 16 with the 10-20 f4 PZ as well. So these are a bunch of wide angle lenses. Essentially what I want to do is get as close to replicate the feeling that I had with the Sony RX1R III, where we had a small compact lens that made it easy and cinematic to vlog. So I'm definitely gonna be using my FX2 to vlog more, and I wanna find the smallest, most compact lens that I can put on the camera that's also going to give me a cinematic look, while also being easy and light enough to mount with perhaps just one suction cup to my Honda Element, because that's what I did with the RX1R III. So I own the 16-35 G Master f2.8 lens. I love it. This is the one that I brought with me to Sony Kando, and I decided to also rent their 16mm G Master for vlogging. I used it yesterday, day one of Sony Kando, or day two, depending on how you want to count it. And that whole vlog, yeah, I've noted it in that vlog, was shot with the 16mm lens. So I do have some extensive footage using this. Absolutely love it. I really think that I am going to buy and pick this lens up for myself. But before I do, I also wanted to see how the PZ 10-20 compared, because it would give me a wider field of view, and it is just slightly smaller. So that's pretty significant for me in terms of wanting to have the smallest footprint. So we are gonna roll on we have the PZ 16-35mm G Master f4 on the Sony FX2. I am Christine. I am currently filming this test clip in Washington, the state, out here for Sony Kando. I need to actually leave soon and go get lunch, but one thing I love about this opportunity is having the ability to take out different lenses and try different lenses and see what you like, see what works without any obligation to buy anything, without the hassle of trying to have something shipped and return it. It's just a really simple, easy process. You go into the checkout area and they're like, hey, what you want to check out? And you just tell them your name. You don't need to provide, birth certificate, socials, ID, nothing. You just tell them who you are and they hook you up with any amount of lenses that you want and any arrangement, any assortment. I think that's super cool. So shout out to Sony for that and for the opportunity to play with this lens. So while we do have this lens on the camera, I do want to take the opportunity to zoom in. I have gone ahead and synced it to this PGY Tech Mantis Pro remote. So I can just hit T for telephoto. Is it gonna zoom in? What? Maybe because I turned the camera off, so maybe I have to sync it again. Yeah, actually, wait, let's see. Let me make sure this is on. Okay, there we go. It's on. There we go. Okay, sweet, I had to turn it on. So I'm gonna click telephoto, and now it is zooming in. We're at 20, 24, 25, 26, 27, 30. Oh, it's also doing clear image zoom, so we don't want to do clear image. Let's stop at 35. Can I get to 35? Here we go. This is 35. Right now I don't want to change the framing because I want to set it up for all the lenses to be the same. So I'll just back up slightly, but this is what you can get. You do get some nice fall off when you do zoom in, and we're at f4 and we're at an ISO of 320, f4, 180 shutter angle. But I think this lens is pretty neat because you have that ability to zoom in and zoom out quickly, which I think is great for like run and gun, docu style shooting and for events. Of course, I would prefer this to be a 2.8, but there's a lot that you can do with the f4. All right, so let's zoom back out. All right, great. We're back at the 16mm focal length, and now let's let's pop on the 16 to 35 F2.8. This is the one that I own. Let's see how this one compares and stacks up against the rest. All right, let's take this off. All right, so now we're gonna put on, my 16 to 35. Make sure we don't move the camera. I do have a CPL filter on there, but that shouldn't affect it too much. So let's zoom all the way out to 16, f2.8, keeping the same ISO. So this is the exact same ISO of 320. We're at f2.8 now at 16 millimeters on the 16 to 35 millimeter G Master lens. I believe I'm roughly sitting in the same spot. So I'll be able to put this clip side by side to the last one to see what the fall off is like behind me at f2.8. This is my go-to, I would say like event coverage lens for tight spaces. Like if I'm doing a pop-up shop in the city and they have different booths and everything set up, this is the lens that I'll use so that I can get a nice, wide, expansive view of the area without having to go too far back. So yeah, this is me talking to the Sony FX2, first time vlogging with it at Sony Kando. So I'm falling more in love with this camera on this trip. All right, so now let's switch to the Sony G Master 16 millimeter f1.8, fixed at 16, and let's see what that looks like. And of course, we'll do a comparison of all of them at the end. Cutting, and all right, let's turn off the camera. Boom shakalaka. This is my lens, so that lens cap goes on there. This is the lens cap for this. All right, let's take the 16, pop that on. This is the type of stuff that excites me. I don't know, I'm kind of like nerding out, geeking out. Like this makes me happy, being able to play with different lenses and test it. Okay, so right now, I'm gonna roll. It's at 1.8. Clearly it's letting in way more light than the other, so we will have to dial down the ISO. I wanted to keep the ISO the same, but I will have to change it. But wait, first, let's go to 2.8. So this is 2.8 on the G Master f1.8 lens, and it feels significantly brighter. I don't know if the light changed outside. I am shooting in auto white balance, cinetone, and I'm just using the natural light and a couple of lights on in the room. All right, so now let's go back to, we're at 2.8 right now. Let's go to 1.8 and let's drop the ISO down as low as we can go, 125 right there. Wow, that's still very, very bright. But we can see what the fall off is like. And because we are shooting on the FX2, we do have the ability to bring down the highlights and in post. So let's just do that. Let's just make some adjustments to bring it down. But I do want to keep this at 1.8 so we can compare it to what it looks like on the other lenses. And we are at 125 ISO auto white balance. And now let's shift to 2.8. All right, we are at 2.8 right now at 125 shutter. Let's go back to 320, which is still bright. So let's just do 200 at 2.8 on the f1.8 G Master. This lens is looking good. It's looking good. So this is the one that I was vlogging with all day yesterday. So I absolutely love this lens. I've fallen in love with it. So I need to see when I'm gonna pull the trigger on this one. So this one is definitely DaChefGyal approved. All right, so now we're going to swap to the last one, which will be the 10 to 20 G Master f4 Sony lens. So let's cut here. Let's line it up. I'm trying like not to move too much in the seat. All right, there we go. Very satisfying click. All right, let's fire her up. Let's go back to 320 like we were with the other ones. And let's hit record. So this, right now we're at 10 millimeters, right? So f4, 320 ISO, 10 millimeters, but we were doing the test at 16 with all the lenses. So let's go on ahead and get to 16. So that's gonna be right about, This is 16. Is this a full frame? No, I think this is APS-C, because this definitely feels a lot closer than the others at 16. Yeah, this has to be ASPC. Did I not like notice that? I guess I didn't. So, well, this is the 16 millimeter on the Sony FX2 at f4, the lowest aperture that we can dial in right now. So yeah, this is pretty interesting. I'm definitely gonna play with this today. So I wonder if that, you know, the 10 is more like the 16, because 10 divided by 2 is 5. You add the 5, that gets you to about 15. So this perspective is probably closer to the 16 millimeters. So if it is roughly the 16, then it's like you might as well go either with the 16 fixed or the PTZ 16 to 35 G Master, but you don't get that F1.4 though. That's the thing, that F1.8, that's the beauty right there. So right now this is looking like one of my top contenders, and we'll see if this could potentially be a close second, because the girl is getting the lens. It's just a matter of which one. So you've seen 4 different lenses, 4 different wide angle lenses on the Sony FX2. I will then go back and, you know, show some frame grabs from each of the lenses. But yeah, let me know your thoughts. Which one are you gravitating towards? For me, hands down, the 16 G Master 1.8 is going to be like a dope pickup for me. But I am curious to see how I will take to the F4. I really wish there was a lower aperture on this. I know it would make it way more expensive, but that would be absolutely clutch. So I am going to return the F16 G Master shortly, and then I'll probably walk around with this bad boy on there for a little bit. Since these kind of give a similar range, since this is not full frame, but it is a lot smaller and it is a lot, I think it is a lot lighter. Okay, so thank you for rocking with me on this camera test. I'm going to go eat before lunch ends and then head to another event. I'll probably bring a jacket with me because it's cold. It's quite windy outside. All right, guys, I am the Chef Gal and you just got the recipe.